Hello and welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our weekly reality wrap-up show for the fall of 2023, week 11. We're going to talk all about it and break it all down. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/pavementroadprod. Email pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel as well. Share the post and tell your friends. We're going to be talking about the latest episode of Survivor and the Amazing Race for week 11 of 2023. And we're going to break it all down and go into detail with it here. A couple quick things for you today. As we get started, obviously, we were planning on trying to get this set up and finished, and caught up, I should say, by the finale. Probably not going to happen. It's going to be close. We'll probably still be a week or so behind by the finale. But obviously, the good news is the finale we usually record after, Christmas anyways, because of the finale. In this case, looks like it's going to be only a few days before Christmas. So we will likely just, watch the finale after Christmas and then get it out, the episode out, around that same time as we normally do anyways. So we'll get caught up at that point, but probably not before then. Unfortunately, the vacation really set us back, but in more ways than one, but it was a good time. So let's go ahead and start with Survivor. Obviously bring Jessica for the Amazing Race part of it as well. But obviously the Survivor episode, they come back after Bruce was voted out, and they're very excited about it. Pretty much everybody is excited. They a lot of confessions about how there was a cloud over everybody that's now been lifted. Now they can play the game. They don't have to worry about Bruce, micromanaging everything they do. They have a immunity challenge. That's also a reward challenge, and the challenge is multifaceted, but it ends with a puzzle as per the usual arrangement, and it's a word puzzle, and it's a kind of a puzzle where you have to start on one end and kind of make an arc with the letters, so it's relatively difficult, but the most difficult part is kind of handling, balancing all of them while you get them there. Drew got to the puzzle first, actually, and had a really difficult time balancing the blocks so he could complete the word, so that was difficult, but ultimately, there's a lot of discussion on the beach before the challenges about what way they want to go with the vote, and what they want to do, and it seems like everybody, Austin and Drew, especially Drew, kind of starts it saying he wants to go after Julie. Julie's been getting power. She's very likable, very very popular. And they want to cut her out and then still go to the final three, as they discussed with everybody else, with Dee and Austin and Drew, but cut out Julie. Now, at the same time, Dee and Austin are getting very close still on the island. In fact, Austin brings up how he kind of had a dream about being Boston Rob and finding his Amber on the island, which, hey, just so you know, that didn't happen on the island the first time. Okay, they were already, long established, very close before they got on the island. Okay, let's not get it twisted. But and obviously he's hanging out with Dee, and he's talking about how Dee's his girl, and they want to hang out after the show and everything else. So kind of a showmance, I guess. But they're trying to keep it, and they said no showmances. They both said that we're going to the show. They said no showmances. Dee especially said no showmances allowed on the island. She shouldn't get herself involved in something like that. Also leading into the next vote, or leading into the show before the challenge, I should say, there is a boat shows up and they say, somebody has to come on a journey. So the journey begins with the first thing they have to do, everybody on the island, I should say, before they go on the journey, is if they can't decide, they have to reach in and pick rocks. And I think Jake wants to go, a few other people want to go, to try to get an advantage in the game. So they reach in, they all pick out of a hat, and Emily picks the green rock, which means she's going on the advantage. And she's not really even that thrilled about it, but everyone wanted to do it and pick rocks, so she decided to do it. So she goes on the journey, and she has to basically do a challenge that other people have failed. I think it's it might even be the one from earlier in the season that the groups both failed. to get when they had to do the challenge to get their supplies at the beginning. Two from each side had to go off and get their supplies. The brain challenge or whatever, savvy challenge. So they go out to do that. She lets to do that, and she's like, "If I do this, I get an advantage. If I don't, I lose my vote." I don't even remember what the advantage was, but it was maybe, I don't even know I don't even remember what they even said what the advantage was. It might have been like I don't know, an idol or something, or I don't think it was anything even that powerful. I think it might have been something like an extra vote or something. I don't know. But regardless, Emily thinks about it. She's like, I haven't been great at the puzzles this season, and I really don't want to lose my vote. I don't want to risk my vote because I need my vote for tonight for sure. Especially if we're trying to, possibly flip things on to Julie. We're going to need every vote we have. I don't want to, risk it. So she decides not to risk her vote and to go ahead and save her vote and not take part in the challenge. Now, a lot of people are saying, back at camp, they said there's no way that Emily's going to come back empty-handed. Like, she's definitely going to have an advantage. So they're not believing her when when it gets started. But she returns to camp, tells them, I didn't want to risk my vote. I decided just to hang on to it, blah, blah, blah. And that was how it went. Some people believed it, some people did not. The immunity challenge happens. And it's, again, a decent challenge. But it pretty much comes down to Austin versus Drew. Both get there. And it was a challenge they've done similar where you're tied to a rope and you have to unspool as much as you can to get to the end. Then you have to knock down blocks. And then once you knock down the blocks, you have to open or you have to put the block on to make an arc, where that is like an arc. And I've kind of mentioned that, like you put the sun on one side, then you have to use gravity and everything to hold them in place while you, finish the word. And it has to be the same on both sides. The words you have to really read the word on both sides, which makes it a little more difficult. But obviously the big part of it is having going through the obstacle course with enough rope, enough slack in your rope, so you can get to the end and do everything. I think at least once, people would throw the sandbag, knock the block, or would miss, and they'd have to go grab it, and they didn't have enough rope to be able to go grab it, so they have to either use there's only, I think, 3 sandbags, so if you do that 3 times, you're done, or then you have to go back and unspool more rope, or, you have to just, if you lose it, you have to go back again, just again unspool enough rope to be able to have enough slack to continue on the challenge. And like I said, Drew did really well. He got there early. Basically got to the throwing part first, but his struggle was he kept missing the blocks. He'd throw a miss, then have to go pick them up. He eventually would knock the blocks down. Then he had trouble getting them on the arc to kept dropping them. Was trying to put 20 blocks up and hold them in place. He had trouble with that. Then Austin finally caught up to him, and Austin kind of overtook him with made up ground and with the throwing and everything else, and then had the blocks in order. And the word was correct, but he didn't have it correct both ways. He only had it correct the way he was facing, not correct the way the other side. And Jeff said it has to be correct both ways. You have to be able to read it both ways. And Austin just couldn't register it. He just couldn't figure out what Jeff was saying. Couldn't process it. And then while that was happening, Drew was still trying to get his in order, and ended up getting it, and it was correct both sides. So Drew actually won the immunity, and it was guaranteed a spot in the final 6, which he was really excited about. So they go back to camp and they decide, okay, we got to get rid of Julie. We got to make sure Julie doesn't know what's going on. Now, I think it's maybe a little bit too early to take out Julie, especially, if you take out Julie, you isolate D, for example. D maybe flips to the other side. Now it's, 4-2 against Drew and Austin, and, now they're in trouble. So I think it would be good maybe to get rid of one more person. Maybe get rid of a Couture or a Jake. Maybe make the easy vote now Jake or Couture. Split between them even. You can even split between them. 2 and 2. Or I guess it would be 3, 2, and 2 if you have Emily still. So you split between, because Emily's working with Drew and Austin. Drew and Austin work with D and Julie, and they've split between Jake and Katurah, and then if one of them doesn't have an idol, but whichever one you want, which in this case actually neither one do have an idol. But that would be a way to go. I think that'd be the best way to go. But they said they want to flip it on Julie because I think Julie's gonna go too far. Blah blah blah. I think you wait one more vote on that. That's what I think you do. But and that way you can. Emily will be down for it, and then you bring in either Katurah or Jake and say, hey, it's either you or it's Julie, and they flip it around on Julie. Austin, it's bad luck for him, especially because he gave her his idol a couple votes ago, and she hasn't given it back willingly, and he can't really go up there and ask her for it now because it's been a couple weeks, a couple of votes, and why would he ask for it back all of a sudden? She would know something's up. So he's got to basically vote her out with his own, and flush his own idol in the process. Obviously, he still has another one, but he's a little bit worried about that, and obviously for good reason. But Drew pushes forward the plan, regardless, to get rid of Julie. And Austin's really afraid if he does that, he's going to blindside D. And he doesn't want to blindside D for multiple reasons, but because she's his quote-unquote number one ally. So he goes and tells D, hey, you can't tell Julie what the plan is. I don't want you left out of the deck. Okay. So then D's like, well, I can't do it to Julie. So she tells Julie, hey, Julie, play your idol. Everybody's going to vote for you. And then she says, we're going to put on an acting face. I'm going to pretend I'm going to vote for you too. And I'm going to be shocked when you play the idol. And so she wants to keep both sides happy. So she's going to play it in between, hey, I'll tell Julie to play her idol so she knows to play it, but I'm still going to vote for somebody thinks that I flipped on them. And she says, put your vote on Emily, take Emily out. And now that's obviously a bad case scenario for Drew and Austin because it's their other option to go the end with. Right? If they don't want to go the end with D, they can go the end with Emily instead, swap Emily in, and maybe they take out Emily. Or maybe they beat Emily. Maybe that's a better chance to beat Emily. So D's going to try to do that and take out Emily. Now, Julie's like, okay, fine. But she's like, but secretly she kind of wants to take out Drew or Austin because they're the ones who flipped on her. And she can't get rid of Drew, so she's like, I'm going to throw my vote on Austin instead. And she tells Katurah and Emily and Jake to throw their votes on Austin, and that way she doesn't have to even play her idol. She can just flip the vote onto them, and that's how it goes. Interesting. Interesting thought. So obviously that's kind of her thinking is, hey, flip it on Austin. Austin goes, now obviously D won't be happy about that because D's very close to her, and she says, and D even said that to Julie, like, hey, Austin's kind of my number one. You can't flip it on him. I still want to work with him, And Julie's like, yeah, but he wants to write my name down, blah blah blah. And she's like, yeah, and she's trying to go both ways on that, but it's having difficult squaring that circle. So Emily and Jake and Katurah are kind of deciding if they should go with Julie and vote out Austin or vote with everybody else and vote out Julie. And because Julie's a big threat. So they go to tribal council, a lot of, talking, whispering, whatever. I guess amongst the jury, a lot of whispering, but a lot of talking and nothing that really, came out that was anything too illuminating. They go to show the votes. They go to vote, and in the confessional, they show like 3 or 4 of the votes. They show almost all the votes. And all of them are on Julie. Austin. I think they show Austin, Drew, and I'm pretty sure they show Austin, Drew, and D's vote, maybe Katurah's. But they show their votes, and the question is like, what are we gonna do? Which way is this gonna fall? And so the drama's pretty much gone that Julie's gonna play her idol. It's kind of a matter of, did anybody else vote any other way, and who's going to bounce back on? So Jeff asked anybody want to play their idol, and Austin, of course, has his idol, so he could always play it. If he says, if I feel scared, I can always play the idol. Also, Drew has safety without power, which he's not going to use, but Austin may use it, but after the votes are already cast, it doesn't help. Not useful. You can't use it. So Julie stands up and plays the idol, and Jury's kind of like surprised, like, oh, because Drew's kind of getting the feeling that Julie's starting to get maybe targeted here, getting blindsided. But she ends up plays it, and Drew's like freaking out, really excited about it. plays that out for herself and sits down. The jury, the votes come back. Julie, and Julie. 6 votes for Julie. None of them count. So there's only 1 vote left, and that's the person who's going to get voted out. They show Austin's face. They show Emily's face. They show a few of the people's faces. Whoever's nervous. And the vote goes for the 5th member of the jury, which will be Emily. So Emily's voted out, becomes the 5th member of the jury, and now we're down to the final 6. And it kind of hurts the guys on Reba because that was their other option. So that really, not only did Julie and them play an idol, play an idol, and Dee was a part of that, but they took out the guy's other option, other path to the end. So those 4 really should go to the end now. There's really no point to go to the end with anybody else, unless they can try to bring in Jake, and maybe Jake's a 0 vote finalist or Katurah. But again, I can see something happening, something wiggling their way into that alliance and messing something up. So it really, unless the guys want to completely blow things up, they have to kind of go with Austin or they have to go with Julie and Dee at this point. Now, the other thought I had was I think it would have been maybe better if they take out Austin, right? If Julie would take out Austin, I don't know what Dee does. Maybe Dee is angry and wants to go after her next because she took out Austin. But if she takes out Austin instead of Emily, that really just scatters all the pieces, right? If they're coming after you, that move just blows everything up. So the question is, are the guys going to try to bring in the other 2 and go after Julie? Or now that Julie's idol's gone and they have Austin and Drew have all the ammunition. They have the safety out power. They could even honestly, if Jake's scared, hey Jake, I'll give you the safety out power this vote, so they can't come after you. You can just get up and leave tribal council, and then we'll vote out Julie because that's 1 less vote or whatever, or however they want to use it. Say hey, give it to Dee. Say Dee, Austin says hey Dee, they're coming after you, but I have safety out power. I'll give it to you, so that way you can't get voted out, whatever. And that way that's 1 less vote that Julie has in her pocket, whatever. But there's certainly options available if they want to take out Julie still. But I think if they were taking out Austin, yes, it might annoy Dee, but I don't really think Dee can go anywhere. And she's not that close with Drew. Austin's kind of been the person going between the 2 of them. So I think, Julie's hey, they were coming after me. I had to make a move on them, blah, blah, blah. Maybe Dee's mad at Drew, and who knows? Now things are all over the place, and the chaos would be good for somebody who's a target, right? When you're a target, if you can create a little chaos, it might help you. I don't know. I think maybe taking Austin would have been the better move. Then again, maybe, Drew brings in Emily, and everything's the same, going forward. Emily's still in the game, and she's now working with Drew, and nothing really changed that much, except maybe you untethered Dee from that group. I don't know. I still think the right move would have been to take out Austin, but she takes out Emily, and now again it kind of gets her alliance back in. She didn't make that bold of a move where she blew up her alliance, but the alliance was already blown up. They're already trying to go after her. So I think she should take out Austin. But regardless, and then you flush his idol. Now he has an idol. Now he safety without power on that side as well, and they can really make a move if they want to. Emily was kind of a threat, but now there's just basically it's gonna be about the 2, Dee, and I think it could come down to Dee and Julie versus Drew and Austin to pick up the 2 people left. All right, pick up the two remaining pieces, Katurah and Jake, and see who gets to the end with them. Or they just vote those 2 out, and they go for the final 4 of the Reba 4. Also an option. Good news for Austin and Drew is that they didn't have to vote out Emily. Emily was their alliance. Emily was their third, kind of their other option, their backup plan. And she didn't necessarily know if she was the backup plan or the real plan, to go to the end with. But now it doesn't matter because they didn't vote her out. Only 1 vote was on Emily, and that was Julie's. So it doesn't matter necessarily, that whether they were going to take her or not doesn't really matter because they didn't vote for her. So they saved that burning of that bridge, which is nice. So nice for them. So that's pretty much it for the episode. I thought it was another pretty solid episode. I'm kind of concerned. I said it's been a pretty good season overall. There's been some nice moves, some nice blindsides. This move here today, and then again too, they said Emily was a big threat. Jake said it was badass right there. To Emily, and because she basically orchestrated the Bruce blindside. So they were really excited. So she made a really big move, and she was definitely a threat, especially if she got to the end. Almost the first person voted out, and I guess all the end, she would have had a case. She definitely had a case. But regardless, she's out of the game now, and so now it's on the 6 left. I'll be one more vote here Wednesday, and then the finale with the final 5, and we'll see what happens from there. But I said there's been some lull votes, there was some really exciting votes. It's been one of the better seasons we've had. We'll see how the winner is. I think really if anybody other than Jake or Katurah win, I think it's gonna be a solid winner. A person who's actually had stake in the game, actually made moves. So I think it's probably going to be D or Austin right now. I think there are 2 chalk picks in that order. But we'll see. A couple more votes and we'll see how it turns out. I just think D and Austin are too powerful. They're both really got a lot of power and a lot of ammunition in the game, and they're working together. If they're working against each other, one of them would go out and the other one would win. But they're working together, and they both have again a lot of sway. And Austin has the idol, so we'll see what happens next. But again, it's another solid episode. We'll see if they have how the next couple episodes go. It could be a pretty straightforward, boring vote next. And then, it might fizzle to the end. Said if Jake or Katurah wins, it's going to be a really disappointing season. Pretty much if anybody else wins, I think it'll be a pretty solid ending. Which will be the first time in a while we had it'll be the first time since 40, really, that we had a winner who's had a lot of impact on the game and did a lot in the game. Instead of just, glomming onto Alliance and sticking with it, or, being the lesser of 2 evils or 3 evils or, whatever, or being somebody who just, with benefit of a jury hating other people. So we'll see. Either way, it's definitely been an exciting couple of episodes, and hopefully the finale is setting up well, even if the next one is a little bit of a dud. Other than that, we will bring Jessica now to talk about The Amazing Race. Hey Jessica, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not too bad. So only 2 weeks left of The Amazing Race here, so I'll let you kind of take charge here and run with it. The final, penultimate episode. Do we go from 4 down to 3, and then the finale? Mm-hmm. What do you think of the season so far?
It's been good. Yeah. Twists and turns and such, and not really expecting who's going to actually do well or not, really.
Yeah, it's been a very evenly matched season, I feel like.
Say low expectations, I guess, but,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been overall pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty solid with all the teams pretty evenly matched. Mm-hmm. And some cool locations, too.
You said 2 episodes left? Do you mean one after?
What did I say?
You said 2 episodes left. 1 episode.
Well, 2. This one more. Yeah.
Okay, that's how it was.
But yeah, there's been some good some cool locations too. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
For sure. All right, let's go ahead and start with this episode recap. Go ahead.
So from Sweden to Sylvania. Oh my gosh, I'm going backwards. Sweden to Dublin, Ireland, where I want to go. Mm-hmm. They had to use their phones and book on the Expedia app, and the first thing they had to do was go into the very cold Irish Sea, mm-hmm. take a plunge and go get their clue for their next task, if you will.
Yeah, swim out to a buoy in freezing cold water and go grab it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we all thought Steve was going to drown because he was going into shock and not really moving, but everybody else did pretty well from there.
Yep.
So Rob and Corey arrived to the next area, which it was the roadblock of who wants to get their steps in. At this point, obviously, they're stating if someone has to do them because they haven't done enough roadblocks within the season. So Corey had to do this one, yes. And Steve had to do it as well.
Yes.
Basically, I had to learn a 30-second river dance routine, which I'm surprised no one broke a leg or an ankle. From there, they went to a park. That was what it was.
Yeah, and the river dance, what was that all about? Tell me a little about that and the task they did and whatnot, and who did well and who didn't.
Okay. They had to learn a river dance routine. So they had to have a partner teach them the routine. Said it was only 30 seconds. Surprisingly, or I guess not surprisingly, Corey did well. He was there first, so he had a lot of time to kind of do it before anybody else got there, which was, I guess, kind of surprising that way. But it only took him a couple tries. He was out. Then from there, was it John?
Yeah, there's John.
That did
or
the
Greg,
test?
I'm not sure.
Can't remember. But they have a musical background, so did pretty well as well.
Yep.
I will say I think Corey made it look the best, because the others, they kind of were able to fudge through it and, still get a pass.
Yeah, it was funny because when Corey said, there's 5 of them there, he says, who wants to help me? And the one girl raised her hand right away. And he's like, oh, she's cute. Whatever.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's pretty funny. He's gonna have a side piece in Ireland.
Gonna move to Ireland, yeah, exactly.
And then the 2 older guys struggled.
Well, obviously. Not surprising, but who is it? Joel?
Mm-hmm.
That did it. And
Yep.
he said in college that he took dancing just so he could meet girls and barely danced.
He just met girls.
Huh?
He just met girls and stuff.
Yeah. And then Steve, obviously Steve was going to struggle with this test.
He says he line dances all the time, but not
trying to line dance and not jump.
Exactly.
You need to jump.
Exactly. Next.
I said they have to go to a park and get their next clue, and it is another roadblock. And it's who's got the swing.
Yeah, they basically go to a park, right? Yeah.
Yeah, then that takes them to their next area. They had to drive to, which was a stadium. And gosh, what was that?
They really couldn't tell what it was
called?
for. They didn't know if it was like, they said there's 2
No.
sticks. So we thought maybe it'd be like what's it called? Cricket or something maybe. Or we thought maybe it'd be, something along the lines of that, maybe lacrosse or maybe even field hockey, but it was hurling.
Hurling, yeah. Which I thought hurling was also a thing in the Olympics too, so I guess
Curling is.
No, not curling. Like, it's more shot put, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. Yeah, so Corey got there, and Rob got there first. Corey had to do that one again. He used to play baseball, so that kind of helped with this, and he was able to get it done pretty quickly.
Yeah, you basically pass the ball, and you catch it on your stick, and you have to hit it through the goalpost.
Yeah, it's like a routine with other players. So you hit the ball to them, they hit it back to you. You have to put it on your stick and run with it and carry it, and then you have to throw the ball up in the air and swing the stick at it and get it through the goalpost. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then obviously, between the brothers, they did well because they're also athletic and can do everything apparently. Yeah. Joel did this one. No, was it Garrett did this one? I think Garrett did this one.
And then Steve
and
had to do it.
he did pretty well. And then, Steve had to do it, and he actually did not too bad either.
Yeah, I was impressed with most of the players. I said it's a little bit of a learning curve, but if you're at all athletic, played any sports growing up, it's not that hard. I mean, just the hard
I
part
wouldn't
is,
say it's athletics. This one's more of a coordination than anything.
Sure. And then most of the people who didn't do it right, just couldn't get enough behind it, enough power, enough accuracy to get it through that place.
Yeah, or bouncing the ball, stuff like that.
For sure.
Little things.
For sure. And then what was next?
Next was, I guess you would say, detour. They didn't really call it that, but their next clue is to go to Toner's Pub.
Yeah, which is another task. We didn't say detour.
Task, yeah, I guess you're right. Each player on the team, each person on the team had to learn a quote, memorize a quote, and go in and recite it from a famed novelist. I remember saying to you right away, Rob he doesn't speak normally, so was he able to do it in sign language, and he was. So they didn't really show anybody, but I would assume that they have to accommodate that, which was because he does speak, but it's obviously not his first language. But they did pretty well. They had a lot of time. I said the show did a good job of showing suspense, where I feel like there probably just wasn't suspense because they had such a head start out of everybody else.
Yeah, and
to know where anybody was.
And almost everybody got the quote right in the first try too.
Yeah.
And if you get it wrong, they mercilessly booed them, which was kind of hilarious.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, only Rob and Corey, did they mess up once? No, they got it the first try.
Yeah, the first try.
The brothers messed up once.
Yeah.
And then the rest got it
and
the
then,
first try.
Yeah, and then Garrett and Joel got close messing it up.
He stopped.
A couple times, but eventually got it. And then, Steve and Natalie, I think, got it right away, too.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, no one ever bumped into each other at that. So,
That's a very good point.
the lead had to be there because they each had enough time to stand there and memorize it in between each team.
Very good point. I didn't think about that. You're right. No.
Because I'm smart.
Smart.
Exactly. So from there, after that, they get their pit stop information at Patrick's Cathedral.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Cathedral. Yeah, absolutely.
St. Your Cathedral, yep.
All right. And then who finished first and won the regular race, Jessica?
Rob and Corey finally.
Yes, finally. Good time to peak, right?
Well, right. That's the whole thing, though, because like I'd been talking about Greg and John doing so well and winning all these legs, but that's always a bad thing if you're winning all these in a row and it's not towards the end.
Yeah, I remember. So a couple things I remember recently. Hung and Chi, they were dominating for like the early half, right around the halfway point, but a little before the halfway point of the season.
Yep.
They were dominating, and then they fell apart. And then was it 2 seasons ago? The guys, they were friends. One guy went to jail, and the other one was his best friend.
Yeah.
I can't remember their names now.
I can't remember either.
Ryan, I think one of them was.
Yeah.
They were doing really well early, and then they just got to the halfway point, just completely fell apart, and they barely made it to the final 3.
Right.
So it was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, good time for Rob and Corey to do that. I feel like I'd be shocked, actually. I'd be shocked if the next season, the next episode, I should say, doesn't start all at the same spot.
They usually do.
For the final leg. Yeah, I'd be shocked. But
yeah,
either way, Rob and Corey
technically did anyways because I think they were all on like the same flight.
Yeah, I think they were. And I think the next one will be the same thing. They'll probably all fly back together, or fly wherever they're gonna go together to the final destination.
Yeah.
And do that, I think. And then I think from there, we'll see what happens. But if Rob and Corey, it's huge to be able to be like, hey, we actually won a leg. We can do this. We can win a leg. So
that was their goal, and they did it. And then hopefully this pushes them for the last episode.
Absolutely. And what's
then
next?
I win.
Exactly. Who will finish second?
Greg and John finished second.
They kind of got to the one that has third. But by the time between getting other teams getting lost, and them just really hitting the challenges hard.
They've also been getting lost and messing up in that regard.
A couple times.
Yep.
Yeah. But they finished second. They're so good in the challenges that the only thing that really holds them back, they haven't fought at all. No. The only thing that holds them back is sometimes they have misdirection, but they've been great at the challenges for sure.
Yeah.
And who finished third, and then subsequently who was eliminated?
Joel and Garrett are third, and Steve and Annalie were eliminated.
Yes, they were. It was close, I guess, seemed like, but like you said, nobody really caught to anybody, so it seemed like they were kind of all around the same spot. What did Steve and Annalie do wrong at this leg to get eliminated?
Just this leg.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of it was wrong per se. Steve obviously couldn't keep up anymore. He's getting tired. He's older. Doesn't have stamina anymore. I mean, and then he had to do the tasks. So, and it wasn't anything to his, his strong suit. So that didn't help. Yeah. And they fight. They're not good at directions. I mean, they follow other teams, but who knows if the other team's going the right way. Like, in that sense, too, they did stop and ask for directions, and I think they overtook Greg and John because of that, because I think they were going the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, with them, too, but, I mean, yeah, it was just direction, fighting, not really making smart decisions all the time.
In the last couple of days, they haven't really fought much, which is good.
No, it's gotten better, but she's definitely she's always yelling at him, "Come on, Dad!" Sorry. It's going to be just like Lena.
Yeah.
So think, come on, Dad, come on. You got to go faster. Come on.
Yeah. And it's hard because, he's older.
It is, but it's like, hell, I wouldn't be pushing my dad. He'd have a freaking heart attack.
I know.
Like,
that's what I thought he was doing in that swimming thing.
I thought so, too. I thought they were going to be pulling him out of the water. So, like, I'd be more concerned instead of yelling at him to get his ass moving. Right. But,
For sure. I think that what they did wrong earlier this episode was, so the communication wasn't that bad, but the navigation was bad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily the driving. It was definitely the communication from the navigator.
Yeah.
And Annalie was not doing a great job driving, so she started navigating. She wasn't really doing great with that either. Her strength was the challenges. Yeah. I mean, she was definitely really good at the challenges, and that helped a lot. Her drawback was the navigation and the driving.
Yeah.
So, like, if they could take a taxi everywhere, they probably maybe even win this leg if they take a taxi everywhere. But then they had a self-drive that was really, really fell apart. And self-driving is huge. It's really testing of communication. Yeah. And that was their biggest weakness. they didn't manage, and I guess part of it too was they didn't manage. Some teams have done that in the past, did not managing the roadblocks well. Mm-hmm. Having her do too many, especially when they're ones that were up his alley.
Yeah.
Have him do those.
Yeah.
And then, they didn't manage that well.
No.
He ended up having to do both of them on, two. They were both, physical. I mean, the hurling wasn't as physical as some have been, but the hurling was physical, and and the dancing was ridiculous. So he did a lot of heavy dancing. It was really wearing him out. He did 8 times, whatever, to finally get it.
Yeah.
And it's very exhausting. And then having to go a few minutes, I don't know how much longer, but not much longer, having to do the hurling thing, which again isn't as physical as the dancing was, but still.
No, and I think that he did fine anyways.
Yeah.
But the dancing isn't, and roadblock management, we'll call it,
For sure.
needs to happen. And Rob and Corey did it really well, where Rob just did most of them in the beginning, thinking that there's going to be more physical at the end, which usually there is anyways, and that worked out for them.
It did, and they said they kind of got Rob out of the way. He's not as athletic, but he's smart and strategic.
Mm-hmm.
But they got his stuff out of the way so they could plan for Corey, who'd have more energy near the end, more stamina near the end,
Right.
to be able to do it.
Right.
So I think what Stephen Alley did wrong was a couple of things. 1, roadblock management. 2, communication with the driving aspect, and communication in general with communication in the driving aspect. And 3, just simply running out of steam. That was really what they think they did wrong, and that's what cost them. I know he was really upset that they lost, but like I said, I was surprised they made it that far. They did win a couple legs, so people thought they were a better team than they were, but they were the 4th or 5th best team.
Yeah.
If they would have got the final 3, I don't think they would have been deserving.
No.
So.
No, probably not. Or it would have been fine because the other 2 teams would have known they would have been not last.
Yeah, and then again, that team sometimes does win, so it's just like.
Yeah. I
But
know.
so final 3 are all guys, I guess, which is whatever. Rob and Corey, Greg and John, and Garrett and Joel. So what do you think about the finale? What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, let's rank these 3 teams. Who do you think has the 3rd best chance of winning?
The actual best chance, or that I think that they're going to win, or that I want them to win?
So let's do both. Let's do who do you think is the best odds of winning, and then who do you at the end just say who do you want to win?
So 3rd, obviously Joel and Garrett,
think
and probably in both regards.
Yeah, I think Joel and Garrett have the worst odds of winning. I think they're going to be. They're older. They said before. They have to beat the 2 teams, and they have done it before. They said they've done it before, and they have.
And they have, and they've gotten first too, but that's because everybody got lost together besides them.
True. That's a good
It's
point,
the only
too.
reason.
Yeah, the very
That
good point,
really
too.
is the only reason.
See, that's why you're on the show, because you remember the things about
I
the
do.
things that I don't remember. That's
do.
true. That is the only reason they won.
That is the only reason they won a leg.
So,
Everyone was together and lost and couldn't find a damn subway.
yeah,
They just were good at navigating.
perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so I agree that I think they have their best chance. Who do you think is the second best chance, not who you want?
I mean, best chance, I guess, Rob and Corey.
Okay, why?
I don't want that. I don't think I want them to win.
Yeah,
But I know you would say second for them too.
why?
I mean, just because Rob, I guess, because he's older and the other guys are athletic and young and have stamina. However, I feel like the adrenaline and off this win might help them a lot.
For sure, I think it will too. I also think, I think the only reason I would say, Rob and Corey would be second, and then I do think Greg and John have the best odds of winning. The only way I would say that, think that maybe, going into this episode, is because there's only 3 left, and it's not one of those. It's not really a leg or episode. It's not really a season, I guess you can say, where there's like one dominant team and like all the teams are not nearly as good, or or there's one team, or even more so, there's not the Robin, the Todd and Ashley aren't in it, which
Yeah.
I think they would be kind of team to me that'd be like they're not gonna win. They're gonna be third.
Right.
Right. There's nobody here who I think is destined to be third. I think if I had to put an order, I think it's going to be Greg and John, Rob and Corey, Garrett and Joel. That's who I would say. But I couldn't see any of those 3 winning. So the fact that nobody's like blowing the doors off, and I'm like, is definitely going to win or is definitely not going to win because it's so evenly matched, what I have to do is throw a dart. Right? And if you throw a dart, one team's won once, 1 leg. One team's won 1 leg. One team's won 4 legs. So if you just at random pick the team who you think is going to win, one team has the better odds of winning because they've won 4 of the 12 legs, or 4 of the 11 legs, right? So I just think that odds are just statistically,
not technically, because like we've talked about, if they win a lot then, and then all of a sudden they start to fizzle out.
And
that.
they all were together. All the wins were together, right? So it's not like they've had them sprinkled throughout.
No,
They've
they
had them all
just
together.
kept a good lead over everybody.
And like you said too, they haven't won in 2 legs.
No, and they've also started making a lot worse decisions throughout the last couple episodes.
Sure.
And they have.
Sure.
So getting lost, their navigation hasn't been great. Their communication's fine, but not. They're not fighting, but they're also not communicating at times when they need to.
And they're not. Neither one's that aggressive.
No.
Which is like sometimes you need in a partnership. Sometimes you need the alpha and the beta. Sometimes.
Because I won't agree that just physicality is going to get you at the end. Because this is usually a brain thing.
Yeah, usually.
And they're all smart. All of them.
They're all
They're
smart,
smart, but Rob and Corey have the best communication out of anybody on this show.
Certainly.
And it's because they don't communicate in actual words.
Yeah. Right.
know?
No, absolutely.
But they do. They have the best communication.
And I said, the only reason I said, I think you're also right in the fact that they haven't won in 3 legs now. The other 2 teams have both won since they've won. Mm-hmm. So it's either that they peaked and now they're on the decline, which is possible, or they've won enough where, the other 2 teams have, again, just based on math, they've won almost a third. They've won more than a third of the legs, whereas the other guys have won 1 each, 10% or less of the legs. But is it a matter of they're peaking? They peaked and now they're declining, or is it a matter of 1 leg? You need a team like it's like you say that you need you have it's Game 7 of the World Series. You have a pitcher who's won 30 games all year, or who's won 10, 20 games all year. And you have 2 guys who won 3 games all year, but they won 3 recently. Who do you throw out there to win the World Series for you? Right? You need somebody to win 1 game. What do? Right?
I don't know. My team never makes the good decision for that, so I'm not going to go there.
Sure, mine doesn't either. But my point is, you have the Cy Young Award pitcher. They need to win 1 game for you, or you have the guy who's been hot. Do you go with the hot hand, or do you go with the guy who's established?
Usually the one that's coming off the high.
Yeah.
At least how this one works.
Usually.
It's so hard to do statistically with this because just because they've won, that doesn't really mean anything for the end.
For sure. And I also think like you said, they haven't won a leg recently. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it too. Like you said, Greg and John haven't won in the last 3 legs. And before that, they had won 4 in a row, which is not as impressive when you consider that those 4 wins, 2 are back-to-back cities, and then back-to-back cities. Mm-hmm. So not like, they're starting from 0, traveling across the country, across the world, and then starting again, and then win that leg. Like if you start even with everybody else, and you win the leg 4 in a row, that's more impressive.
Yeah.
If you win 2 back-to-back, and then you travel to another city, and then you travel to another city, that's more impressive.
Yeah.
But you won back-to-back in the same country. Then you move to another country and back-to-back in that country. So you got to lead, and you got to lead. And again, also, if you're also doing that when there's 5 teams left, 6 teams left, it's harder to be a top team because there's all good teams.
Right.
They haven't won a leg when the low-hanging fruit have been out, which makes it more impressive. They beat 7 teams out of 3. I don't know. You could look at it either way.
I obviously don't want them to win because they're already gloating and being that way, and I hate people that can't be humble with this stuff. Go, they've all won a leg. That's cute. Okay, you're done. I can't deal with that. Just because with the Bills.
Yeah.
They're very humble. I'm very humble with stuff. Like, be appreciative of what you have and what you have won. Like, I don't need you talking crap.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just how I feel.
Well, so it's like the Robin Corey, the Bills, and John.
They really are though, really.
Because they're handicapped. And just
I'm gonna throw this phone right now.
And they're the Bills.
I mean, they're handicapped because all the freaking injuries.
Yeah, and Greg and John are the Patriots because they're like, yeah, we got 6 rings here. So.
I mean, yeah, and now how are the Patriots doing? Not good. So whatever.
So, I think it'll be a fun finale. I said the good thing with this finale is there's always a season. Every season, pretty much, there's a team I really don't like. this season, I have my teams I like more than others, but there's nobody who I'm like, oh, I don't want them to win. Like every season, there's usually a team where I'm like, oh, please not them, anybody but them. There's really not that for me this season. There's some teams I like more than others, but there's nobody like if they want to be disappointed.
I mean, I was fine until they started doing that. Now I'm rooting against them.
And it's it's a promo cut, so
Oh, I know. But you don't have to say stuff like that. Not out of context. They said what they said.
Right, but that's what you gotta understand is in the confessionals they take an hour worth of footage and cut down to 10 seconds.
No, and I know that, but they still said that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to gloat about it. You could just say that how appreciative that they are that they won the 4 legs.
Yeah.
The other teams are trying hard, but they're trying harder. Like, I like when they do that.
Sure.
Talk about how you're putting in more effort than
Sure.
the other teams.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
I don't do with gloating. Be appreciative.
For sure. I said even in a joking manner, but I understand.
I know it's joking, but still, that's cute. I've heard that too many times with stuff. It's very frustrating.
Understandable. Tell us how
Yes,
you really
I'm
feel.
very emotional about this.
So here's how it's gonna work. We have this Survivor episode coming up this week, so it's airing right now basically, and then we have the Amazing Race finale right after. So we're gonna cover both of those next time, and then Christmas, and then after Christmas we'll cover the Survivor finale. Makes sense.
We meaning you, yes, yeah.
We'll watch it together. Maybe you'll throw in your 2 cents because I'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah, I can try.
Just give me give me your opinion a little bit on what you've seen and what you
sucks. It all sucks. The
Well-
island needs to turn over and sing. Okay.
capsize.
Yes.
Well, all right, there. Whatever, I forget his name. Hank Williams or Hank
Something.
Johnson.
Yes.
Whatever his name is from Georgia. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, obviously you didn't watch very closely. You kind of got just my recaps and a little bit of what I've told you about it. And watched a little bit here and there. So I'd like to see kind of watching from that angle of barely watching. If you liked it better, if you didn't like it better, how it ends, and obviously see the finale and how the finale turns out. I think I'd like to see your opinion on that. But for now, we're gonna wrap up here. We got the Survivor episode, Amazing Race finale next show, and then the Survivor finale the show after that, and we'll go from there. We'll try to get this out here soon. The next episodes, it's been harder when we're behind because it takes a little more to watch the episode and then everything like that, and then we have to record both instead of just one. So it's been hard to get caught up. We're within a week now at least, which is nice, but we're still gonna try to get these out to you. So the next one get out in the next couple days. For the next one with the finale, and then of course the Survivor finale will be between Christmas and New Year's is my plan. Make sense?
Yes.
We'll have some time out there. We can get some stuff done
It's Christmas. I don't care about nothing else.
after Christmas. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
Perfect. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/pavementroadprod. Email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post. Tell your friends. We'll be back here soon for the final episodes. And so make sure you subscribe and let us know what you think and give us your feedback. Anything else, Jessica?
No.
No, perfect. I don't have anything else either because I got nothing else for you. Because the tribe has spoken.
Safe travels.